Hey guys, just want to go over a topic real quick, and I have three main points about it. The topic is going to be how religious people want religious freedom, but only for them. And I've got a few different interesting little points to make about this. And the first of all is that when it comes to religious freedom, it means any religion, not just Christianity. There's been many times where other religions have tried to put other symbols out in the public, and they were either denied by the local government, or once they were out there, they were almost immediately vandalized. And you can only guess who would go and do that. So I think that's really interesting how the Christian community is very outspoken about, oh, we need prayer in schools and our First Amendment rights are being taken away, and we don't have our religious freedom that we came here for, in the first place, back in, who knows when, but, it's in the books, right? So I think that's really interesting how um, they're so like for religious freedom. Like if you ask for any of them, they're like, "Oh yeah, religious freedom, so great." It's just like, "Oh yeah, so you support the Muslim idolatry, but the Muslim symbols being put out into the public, right? Because that's religious freedom, right? And it's equality because that means that all religions are being represented, not just one, right? Well, I mean, yeah. So another point I wanted to make was that even though they're so for religious freedom for them as adults, when they bring up their child, they very rarely give religious freedom. They're very controlling and they're very like forceful of their religion on their children. Now, if you have to bring your kid to Sunday school, or I mean, you see, and this is kind of where it gets kind of a gray area because no, you should not force your religion onto people. Now, if you have to bring your kid to church because you can't leave them home alone, or you don't want to hire a babysitter, whatever, that's fine. And I don't think that it's a great idea to bring up your kid in a church because then you're teaching them that what they teach there is being taught to your kid, and one, you don't know for sure what's being taught there, and that, I'm not even saying in that I mean, you can worry about that, or maybe they're not teaching my specific kind of Christianity, but in the sense of, if you really want to give your child religious freedom, then they have the freedom of choice. And if they're not old enough to make that choice yet, they should not be learning anything about it yet, in my opinion. When you go to Sunday school and whatnot, as I did for many years, you're told what to believe, you're told what happened, you're told what you believe is true. For many years, I didn't even think Christianity was like controversial. I thought everyone knew that. I mean, like I know that there was these guys or whatever out there, but I thought that it was just a thing because of my many years of only being around Christians and always being told what was right. So they're very forceful of their religion, which is not freedom at all. So if they really want religious freedom, what they have to do is bring up their child the way they should go, which means don't be an asshole, um, because they'll use that verse all the time. Bring up a child the way that they go, so that when they grow old, they won't steer from it, which is something that my mom herself has said many times in justification for very very poor parental behavior and very poor parenting skills. Oh, I'm training you up the way you should go, so that means that I get to do whatever I feel is right, which is, in her case, almost never the right thing. Um, and she's very, very religiously indoctrinated as well, which is no surprise. So, and not that you have to be religious to be a bad parent, but, Anyway, do not they do not give religious freedom to their children. Just going over the point one more time. When it comes to that, what they should do is that they should just raise them up, and then once it starts getting to that time where they start asking questions and stuff like that, they can tell the child, listen, this is what I believe, and if you have any questions, or I can even tell you what I believe, and that's fine, and that is totally okay. And if the child, even if the child chooses to believe what their parents believe, just because their parents believe it, and they want to be like the family, then that's the child's decision. Even if it's made in ignorance, and that's ultimately the child's decision to make. Once they get to a certain age, obviously they're probably going to start changing things, or they might start changing things, maybe not. That's to be determined. But it's not to the point where the parent is forcing on the child. The child's making a conscious decision. Well, my parents believe this, so I'm going to believe it too, which is up to them, which is completely religious freedom, as opposed to what's actually happening in most Christian homes nowadays. It's very much like peer pressure. Even if they're not forced into it, they're pressured into it. It's like, oh, you're gonna stay home while we're all going to church, you heathen, you know. So it's like it's very for such an openly loving religion, it's very forceful and very pressuring, especially in this aspect of family. And if a lot of your friends are religious as well, it can be very much like that, which is again constricting and not freedom or freeing, I guess, as a contrary to that one. But that's the basic idea: is that parents these days are not doing it right, and yet they want all this religious freedom, but do not give it to their children. So that's basically just a point I want to go over. And the last one would be they do not believe that religious freedom includes freedom from religion. And there is a government official from Texas that actually said this. It's not verbatim, but it's extremely close. And he was basically like, well, we just because the First Amendment says we have the freedom of religion does not mean that not freedom from religion, even though it clearly states that the government cannot endorse any one religion, even though that's exactly what Texas is doing pretty much when saying that. Or they're endorsing the fact that religion has to be practiced. And then eventually, they slip in the whole Christianity thing there, especially with the whole creationism in schools. But I just think that that's really funny. That is extremely comical how they are twisting the Constitution. How they're twisting all of the information and how they're twisting like what the law actually says and stuff like that to make it into a perspective of, well, you don't believe in religion, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have to force it everywhere and put all these symbols all the time and force everyone to say Merry Christmas and just what, you a heathen for saying Happy Holidays? Or you work at Publix and you can't say something that might be offensive. So it's all because of you atheists. If you atheists weren't a thing, then everyone could just say Merry Christmas, because then the companies wouldn't have to be so you know politically correct. So that's the idea, is that these are three ways that Christians are not. I mean, like these are three ways that Christians do not want religious freedom for the people that actually for anyone else besides them. But they're always claiming, "Oh, I want religious freedom. Yeah, let's go. As long as it's for me and not for people who don't believe in anything, or people who believe in anything else besides me, or for my children because I want to tell them anything that I want to, and I want to force them, and I want to brainwash them." Um, yeah, that's not hypocritical at all. Thumbs up. Good job. I mean, it's not that that kind of thing isn't expected, because that's honestly something that you see a lot when it comes to deception as well. Christians oftentimes are very deceiving, especially in my video about the whole camp thing, about the Christian camps. They, how they lie to people about what the camp's actually about, or they deceive them by not giving them the actual main information or the actual purpose of what it's about, and then they try to draw people in and convert them and stuff like that. So, and then this is just another way, and then they're all against deception, and in the same way here that they're also very hypocritical. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I just want to make a quick video. I really, when it comes to this, I literally think, oh, this topic would be interesting. I make about 3 sentences of 3 different points or whatever, and that's it. So I just, a lot of this is just me kind of discussing and thinking about it in my head and stuff like that about what's going on with the subject. So just let me know what you guys think about what I talked about in the video. Just let me know about your ideas and comments about it. If you yourself has been indoctrinated and forced religion upon, like I have, or if you were in if you would be in a situation where if you were to just say that that you don't believe in Christianity anymore, how oppressed you would be by the people around you about, for instance, me would be my mom or whoever. So, and I get again against the whole religious freedom thing. So just let me know in the comments, and yeah, let's have a discussion. It'd be fun. All right.